Welcome to session number 2 of A New Mindset for Forgiveness. In that journey I referred to in session number 1, I referred to things that have happened to us along the way. So I think it's important for us to look closely at what happened and what other people actually did. And like you, I've been around some people in my life who have been offensive or harsh or controlling or obnoxious or egotistical or vindictive, people who lied, who were hostile, who were manipulators or dishonest. And some were just downright mean, nasty, or vicious or overbearing, just to name a few. So I think it's important for us to look at what others said to us, what they did, how they behaved, and what was it that bothered us so much about that. So in the workshops that I do, I encourage people in an exercise to write all that down and get it in front of us. And another thing that, and I think it's important to do that even for people with whom we've struggled with forgiveness, from decades ago, maybe even our parents, maybe even in people who are now deceased. The other thing that has helped me in my journey is to look at why offenders did what they did. And to me, the big one has always been hurt people hurt people. In other words, people who are hurt and in pain themselves, I call it they lash and bash other people because of their unresolved stuff in their own life. And the other one that's connected to this is they know not what they're doing. They live in this kind of altered reality, and so they really don't have a clue about the impact of what they're doing. They are blithely oblivious. As an example, I work with a fellow board member in a service club, and pretty regularly this person will say things or write things that are just vicious or nasty and unnecessary. And I do wonder about this person's background in terms of what causes them to do that. Another one, I think, in terms of why offenders do what they do is that they have a very worldly outlook. While I was in business as a certified financial planner, I would often bump into people who were very, very ambitious. And so they were determined to succeed at no matter what the cost. And if I happened to be in their way, they could say or do things that were harmful. I remember a boss of mine in an insurance agency who was frankly pretty selfish. And I think he saw that I had a dollar sign on my forehead because I was a producer, and he was more concerned about the money I could make for him as opposed to me as a person. Another one, I think, in terms of why offenders do what they do is they really are ignorant of God. I'm referring a bit here to the scripture in Romans chapter 1, 29 to 31, and Paul describes the lives of some of these people as being filled with wickedness or sin or greed or hate or envy. They're quarrelsome, they're deceivers, they're malicious, and they're gossips. Well, some of the people that we've encountered are like that. And then lastly, I've thought about the sins of the father. Some people will make excuses for their words or their behavior because they themselves came from long lines of raging alcoholics or some other family dysfunction, and they use as an excuse, they say, well, this is just the way I am and I can't change. Well, I think we'd agree that that's patently ridiculous. We can all change if we want to. So some questions to ponder in session 2 here are, how were you treated? And what caused you the most hurt and pain? And second question is, why do you think the offenders did what they did? Lastly, with a scripture I like that's a challenging one for us, and these are the words of Jesus from Matthew 5:43 to 48, that you'll recognize as loving our enemies. You have heard the law that says, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say, love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you, and that way you'll be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives sunlight to both evil and good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust alike. If you love only those who love you, what reward is there for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. If you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that, but you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect. And in my study of the scriptures, the word perfect, I think, is a synonym or is the same as being mature. So the call is to be mature. So thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in session number 3.